Hi there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Capital A Trading. Welcome to another episode of my Forex Weekly. For those of you who are new, don't know what's going on here, I'm just going to go through the charts, look at the best trading opportunities for the week, show you how I'm going to tackle them, and then of course bring them to you, update it through my Discord throughout the week. So again, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. There's a lot of exciting content coming around the financial investment world. With that being said, I just want to say a quick shout out to my sponsors, the Absolutely magazine. Thank you for all your support. If you want to learn more, if you want to take your trading further, check out my website www.capitalatrading.co.uk. You can find out more about my 3 to 4 month mentorship program where I can enhance your abilities of being able to read the markets. So if that sounds good to you, again, check out the website www.capitalatrading.co.uk. Now with that being said, I'm going to check out the fundamentals for the week and then get straight into the charts.
Okay, so as always, it's important to just check that economic calendar at the start of the week, see if there's anything that you believe is going to cause some impact in the markets. Now, for me, not really worried about Monday. Tuesday, around the London Open, I'll switch my focus to the pound. I'll look to see some strength there. Around the afternoon, I'll switch that over to the US dollar around the New York Open. So that's Tuesday. Wednesday, again, back on the pound in the London Open in the morning. And then I'll switch my focus to the CAD pair around the New York Open that afternoon. Thursday, and of course, well, I'd say Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I'll be focusing on the yen and the Australian dollar. Want to see what's going to happen there. That's obviously going to be during the night for us UK time. And then on Friday, it will just be around the pound and the CAD, of course, around the London Open and the New York Open. So with that, just be aware of the times that them currencies can see some strength. Now I'm going to get into the charts and try to correlate it, see if we can catch a move around them times. Okay, first up this week, I'm going to start with the USD Swiss franc. This has been a main focus for the past 2 weeks. Now, what I want to talk about is this area just here that I've highlighted yellow. This is where I wanted to see a move. Now, yes, price did reach up on Thursday and Friday, had some pushes towards the 93 mark. But what's happening is the bodies are struggling to go up there. So they're reaching up, getting absorbed straight away, and then prices having to remain back at this level. So what I'm suggesting is that it is eventually going to take off from here, but it could be a little while. It could still hover around this area for the whole week, and then say Friday, we start to see the push. So all I'd suggest is be patient, expect it to maybe reach up again towards the 93 level. I am expecting to see it come from the 92,500. I don't want to see it reach up again, but if it does, keep an eye on it and expect to see a move later in the week. So around this level, I'm looking to see price shoot away. Long term, I'd like to see it wipe out this 91 level, even longer, maybe back towards the 90. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the USD Swiss franc. Very similar is going to be the USD CAD. Now, I mentioned this area last week around the 128, 127, 800. And again, it's still just respecting it, showing signs of not being able to break higher. So I'll watch again. I'll see you. Of course, we've got some CAD news. I just want to see it come again, maybe a bit lower this time, maybe the 127, 600 to the 128, somewhere in there. I believe we're going to eventually get a massive push away from this area. So keep an eye on them too. That's going to be the USD Swiss franc and the USD CAD. Next up is going to be the Euro pound. Again, this was mentioned on the Forex Weekly last week. It was also updated throughout the week in my Discord channel. I just wanted to see price struggle around the 84,700 to the 85 mark. I believe we was going to get a transaction somewhere in here kick off. What I liked was this candle here. It reached up, grabbed the area, grabbed any remaining liquidity that was in the area. And as you can see, it came back and just retested the bottom of that candle before finally making a monstrous move to the downside. So regarding this week now, all I want to see is price just come back up towards this area where price has left, where there's definitely been some market makers play, and maybe around the 84,400 to the 84,200. I'll just be monitoring that this week, seeing if it gets back up. And then, of course, I'll be looking to see some pound strength continue. Of course, we've got them news times as well, the fundamentals. So hopefully if it's correlating with that, that'll be something we can look to link it up with. The next one I want to talk about is the pound USD. Now, again, this daily picture looks very nice from the swing. So we've had price moving up, hardly any bearish involvement. All of a sudden, for around 2 weeks, we get some massive power on the bear side, pushing the market to the downside. And then it pulls back up into an area where I've now seen a deep enough retracement. And I believe it's the 136 level that's being manipulated. And that's where it looks like price is going to eventually take off from, when you understand the nature of price action in here. So keep an eye on the 136. Let's just see if it continues to respect the area. And then, of course, I'll be looking to see the push away. Minimal target would be the 133 level. So a nice 300 pip move. Keep an eye on them two together. That's going to be the euro pound and the pound USD. Next up is going to be the pound Swiss franc. Now, again, I'm seeing a lot of success on the USD Swiss franc. I'm still expecting that to push down. If that goes, so should this. Now, as I'm looking at this daily picture, in fact, I can cast my mind back to when I mentioned the sell around the 130 mark, and it's been dropping ever since. So it's looking like price is now coming back towards this area around the 126 level, 127. I'm going to give it a bit of space to breathe. I just want to see price create the new transaction in this area. It's going to be either from this candle or this one here, and then start to make its movement to the downside again. Hopefully the target being around the 120 mark, really long-term, real long-term trade that I'm looking to hold. Now, if I just break it down onto the 4-hour time frame, this is the area I'm going to watch. Of course, it's come and hit the 126 at the last point of Friday, literally right on the number there, and then had a nice reaction of 70 pips to the downside. So I'm just going to look to see how that continues at the start of the week. Look to see if it's going to continuously respect the 126 level, and then hopefully get a transaction somewhere in there. That's going to be the pound Swiss franc. I feel more importantly regarding that Friday news is the pound CAD. Now, this is a candle I spoke about recently. I just wanted to see what would happen. It's this small blue candle here that I've highlighted yellow. And what I've done right now is just put my cursor line on the body of that candle. Now, as you can see, price looks to be respecting that point very precisely. And again, it's around the 173 level. So if I just break it down a little bit, I'm just looking to see price struggle here, not go higher than that area. Give it a bit of space to breathe. If it goes above 173, 200, it will become invalid. But if it sticks under here, hopefully we can see some CAD strength, fuel to the downside, and I've got a target of the 170 level. So again, a nice 300 pip move. Keep an eye on that. That's the pound CAD. Next up is the pound yen. Now, first of all, what I want to highlight is this daily area, this key area around the 158 level. Price has dropped from here on 2 previous occasions already, and it's now back and shown a sign of struggling. So again, very simply, to start the week, I just want to see price head back towards the area and create another struggle, create another massive bearish candle like Friday, how Friday ended. And let me see that the power's there, the market makers are possibly in this area, and then we can start to see the push to the downside. So simply, I'm going to look at the 157,500 with this area here, if it gets back up. And then, of course, the 158, give it a bit of space to breathe. I'm looking to see a massive push from there, at least to the 155 level. So keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the pound yen. Next one up is going to be the AUD USD. Now, again, I'm talking about this daily picture here. I'm looking at this daily swing. Now, the number in interest is going to be the 72,500. Price has come down, made a new low, came back towards this level. It looks like it slapped into the 72,500 and started to make a new transaction, started to make a new movement to the downside. Now, with that, again, I'm going to let it breathe. I just want to see price come back up, maybe to the 72,500. Again, let it breathe, and then see the US dollar later in the week, preferably gain some strength, start to beat up the Australian dollar and head to the downside. The target will be the 70 mark. So again, a nice 200, 300 pip move. Keep an eye on that. It's going to be the AUD USD. Next up is going to be the pound Aussie. Now, this has almost got everything. I've been monitoring this area around the 191, 192. Price has come up, done a murder candle. For my students who would know, there's a lot of liquidity that's been grabbed here. It's wiped out this area. It starts to make a movement to the downside. It comes back up and creates what my students would know as the contract. Is now definitely market makers play in this area, and it looks like they're creating what I call the stairwell. So they were here, they've moved down, they've come back to the 191,500, they've made another movement down, and I'm looking to see their next step. So I'm going to monitor the 191, the 191,500. This candle is going to be of hot interest. I just want to see price get there, start to do the same thing it did when it got to this area. Show me a candle like this, show me a sign of reversal, and then I'll be happy to take a position. So the 191, 191,500, keep an eye on that. That's going to be the pound Australian dollar. Again, we've got that news during the week that can correlate with this. So if it is, I'll be happy to take a position. The next up will be the pound NZD. Now, all I've got to mention here is this weekly candle. It is a big range, but somewhere in here, I believe inside this body, we're going to get price make a movement down. Now, that could take another 2 to 3 weeks. So again, I'm going to be patient with this one, let it play out, show me some more action, show me that there is going to be some bearish strength, and then I'll be looking to catch the retest. So keep an eye on them together. That's going to be the pound Australian dollar and the pound New Zealand dollar. Okay, next up is going to be the AUD Swiss franc. Again, very interesting. I mentioned a sell from this area around the 66,567 mark recently. We had that. We had the contract get entered and they made a new push to the downside. What's interesting is on Thursday, price got back towards this level. I mentioned all these blue dots. I was talking to a student about how much liquidity would be up there, how much stop losses will be up there, just how much damage will be done when the market gets there. And of course, Thursday, it rose up, murdered, took a lot of money, took a lot of liquidity, and started to make a movement to the downside. So for what I know, that can only be the market makers. And they've created the contract quite nicely here around that 66,500 mark. So they've moved up, grabbed all the liquidity, made a push to the downside, came back, entered their contract that they need to enter, and then it makes a movement to the downside. So all I'm going to do again is just monitor this area. I know it's institutional play. I know the market makers are somewhere here, and I'll just be looking to see that move continue to the downside, hopefully towards the 64 mark. Keep an eye on that one. That's going to be the AUD Swiss franc. Very similar to what we just saw on the AUD Swiss franc. This was mentioned last week on my Forex Weekly as a little bonus one. As one of my students was trading this, they was keeping an eye on it. So I wanted to bring you what I could see. And it was this level here. There's a small gap that was made inside that bearish candle to the downside. As you can see, I put the blue marker there. And of course, it correlated with the 73 mark. So a nice key number at that level. Price got to it, made the movement down, came back again. And there you can see your market makers on Friday evening pushing the market to the downside. Again, all I'm going to do is just monitor this area and see how long that's going to continue for. That's going to be the CAD Swiss franc. Keep an eye on that 73 mark. Next up is going to be gold. Again, it's not all glory here. I wanted to show an area that I was looking at last week. I wanted to see the signs of struggle. It showed it, but then the market makers took price to the upside, wiping out all the liquidity, trade invalid in that area. As I now reevaluate this, all I'm going to do is just look at this daily price action here that happened on Friday. It's going to be the 1860 mark. It's coming to this level. Last time it came towards the base of this candle, it had a massive movement to the downside. Now, for those who know, it's at the waistline of a candle of interest. So the next thing that could happen next week is we start to see some US dollar strength and this pushes to the downside. Keep an eye on that. I just want to see why it closed there on Friday, why it came back into this level. I believe it's the 1860 mark that's going to fuel the movement to the downside. That's gold. Next up is going to be the UK 100. Very similar to what I just saw on the AUD Swiss franc. Again, this is an area that I spoke about last week. It's had a few movements, had a few respected the area a couple times, and now it's gone and wiped out any stop losses that were above here. That means they've probably cleared the way now. This can maybe, hopefully next week, make a move to the downside, at least towards, I'm hoping, the 7360 level. It looks like a contract's been made. There's been a murder candle. There's been liquidity. There's been a lot of traders wiped out. So I feel this week could see it make its move. Keep an eye on that. It's going to be around the 7680, 7640. In that area where it looks like the market makers have made a new transaction. That's where I believe we can get the movement from. Keep an eye on that one. It's going to be the UK 100.
Okay, guys, that's all from me this week. Again, thank you for watching. My advice would be to monitor 2 or 3 of the opportunities that I've just mentioned. Keep an eye on them throughout the week. Note down the levels that I've told you to keep an eye on. See how it plays from them. See how price is going to react when it gets to them levels. So again, if you trade, if you take investments, hit that subscribe button in the bottom right corner. Stay up to date with the channel. There's a lot of exciting content coming around the financial investment world. With that being said, again, just check out my website, www.capitalatrading.co.uk. If you want to learn more, if you want to enhance your abilities of being able to read the market, check that out. Lots of cool features on there as well. Thanks for watching. Again, have a great trading week.
Bye, have a great time.